If you signed for a new construction home in this country in the last 15 years, there is a better than even chance you paid $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 or more for a house whose entire electrical nervous system is wrapped in a plastic jacket thinner than a credit card. The wires running inside your walls right now, carrying every amp that powers your refrigerator, your furnace, the smoke detector above your kid's crib, are protected from a nail, a rat, or an overdriven drywall screw by approximately 1/16 of an inch of polyvinyl chloride. When you hear what one specific North American city quietly built into its electrical code over 100 years ago, and what its house fire numbers look like compared to the rest of the continent, you'll understand why nobody in your subdivision sales office was going to mention it. Type NMB cable is the official name for the wire bundle in your studs. The N and M stand for non-metallic. NMB is copper conductors wrapped in 2 thin layers of plastic. The outer jacket is polyvinyl chloride. The inner insulation in much of what is sold today is a soy-based polymer marketed as a green substitute for petroleum. There is no metal in this cable anywhere except the copper conductors themselves. Most homeowners assume the wiring inside their walls is over-engineered. It is the minimum legal product that satisfies the National Electrical Code, and it ends the builder's liability on the day of closing. Failure. Point 1. The sheath that is supposed to protect your wiring is not built to be touched. Type NMB non-metallic cable was approved for residential use by the National Electrical Code in the 1950s as a faster, cheaper substitute for armored cable. The selling point was labor. An electrician can pull, staple, and run plastic-sheathed cable without special tools, without anti-short bushings, and without slowing down at every termination. On a production site running 15 units simultaneously, that labor saving is the entire business case. The problem is the consequence. A standard drywall screw passes through polyvinyl chloride sheathing without resistance. A roof rat removes it in seconds. An overdriven framing staple, routinely overdriven on a job, paid per house, not per hour, crushes the cable and damages the conductor insulation behind it. None of this is visible from inside your finished wall. By the time you smell something hot behind the drywall, the failure has been propagating for years. The average rewire to remediate a single damaged section runs $2 to $4 per square foot. A full home replacement averages $7,000 to $13,000 and reaches $20,000 or more in older construction. Which is exactly where the AFCI breaker story starts. An arc fault circuit interrupter is a specialized circuit breaker that costs roughly $49 a piece. It detects low-energy electrical sparks, series arcs, and parallel arcs inside damaged or loose wiring before they ignite a fire. AFCI protection was first required by the National Electrical Code in 1999, with a mandatory effective date of January 1, 2002, for bedroom circuits only. By the 2014 edition, the requirement expanded to kitchens and laundry areas. By the 2023 edition, which is currently in force, AFCI protection is required on nearly every 120-volt branch circuit supplying outlets in a dwelling: bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, hallways, closets, dens. The Consumer Product Safety Commission's own estimate is that AFCI arc fault circuit interrupter breakers could prevent up to 50% of all residential electrical fires in this country. That statistic only makes sense if there is a chronic, predictable, foreseeable fire risk inside the wiring of every modern American home, a risk the code body has known about and been compensating for electronically since 1999. The National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, reports its annual count for electrical home fires as ranging from 46,500 to 47,700, with 479 deaths and $1.5 billion in property damage. The first North American building code to require armored, metal-clad cable in residential construction was Chicago's. The requirement has been in place since before the 1920s. New York City enforces something similar. What those codes have spent the last century mandating is type AC cable, a continuous helically wound spiral of interlocking steel armor around insulated copper conductors, with a bonding strip that uses the steel sheath itself as the equipment grounding path. A drywall screw bounces off it. A floor joist nail does not pierce it. A rat cannot chew through it. It is the wire Harry Greenfield invented in 1899, and Underwriters Laboratories first listed for residential use in 1903. According to fire origin statistics referenced by working electricians, the rate of fires classified as electrical in origin in Chicago runs at approximately 1/4 of the national average. One city, one code decision. The added material cost to specify MC metal-clad cable in a modern new build today is somewhere between $1,500 and $3,500 on a typical wiring budget. That is less than the kitchen backsplash upgrade most buyers add without thinking about it. So who decided this was acceptable? The primary villain is the production builder ecosystem, volume builders and electrical subcontractors who run plastic-sheathed cable, because the labor savings per outlet, multiplied across 200 homes per subdivision, is the entire margin of the business. The National Electrical Code legally permits the optimization. The National Fire Protection Association, the body that publishes the NEC, is a 501c3 standards organization with a membership and technical committee structure substantially influenced by the electrical manufacturing industry, including the same manufacturers who profit from selling both the cheap wire and the AFCI breakers required to compensate for it. If you are building new spec MC cable directly into your construction contract in writing before the panel goes in, find a regional electrical contractor with fewer than 50 employees who has actually installed MC cable in residential settings before. Mid-century homes built between 1950 and 1975 with original BX or AC cable still in the walls, the bones are honest. You may need a grounding upgrade because first-generation BX relied on the armor itself for its ground path. Homes built before 1940 in Chicago, the 5 boroughs of New York City, or any other dense urban jurisdiction that locked metal-clad cable into its building code 100 years ago, have walls filled with the most over-engineered residential wiring this continent ever produced. Actuarial premiums on pre-war urban brick masonry homes wired an original BX run lower per square foot than equivalent coverage on a 2024 vinyl-sided, detached new build. 100 years of claims data does not lie. If you are buying any home, hire a licensed electrician for a panel and access point inspection. Have them visually verify what cable type runs out of your main panel. Have them photograph it. It costs $150 to $300. The wires inside your walls are the bones of your house. A century ago, this country built them out of steel. Today the same job is done in plastic, and the building code is patching the gap with a $49 breaker on every circuit. The builder's incentive is to finish the rough wiring before lunch. Your incentive is to live in that house for 30 years without a 2 in the morning fire alarm. Those incentives have never aligned. Next week, we are going inside the modern Federal Pacific stab lock and Zinsco breaker panels still sitting in millions of American homes. There are specific brands linked to thousands of fires, and the manufacturers were allowed to keep selling them for decades. We are naming the brands. Subscribe so you do not miss it.